Good morning, I'm Maiki Oreta and you're watching Basis Points, where we dive deep into the numbers and the stories that drive our economy and shape our world. First, the headlines. National infrastructure spending declines for the first time in 9 months. What does this mean for the country's construction and infrastructure sector? We'll hear from Megawide Chairman Ed Saavedra later on in the show. The Philippines records the second highest growth in motor vehicle output in the ASEAN region. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas commits to further strengthening its anti-money laundering measures. And the founder and CEO of the David Salon beauty chain, David Charlton, passes away. Let's take a look at how the financial markets are doing right now. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones fell in choppy trading, while the S&P 500 and Nasdaq closed higher as investors continue to digest a host of corporate earnings. Eyes this week are on the 5 of these so-called magnificent companies reporting results: Alphabet, Apple, Meta Platforms, Amazon, and Microsoft. Over in Europe,
overall net positive because there is anticipation of the Max 7 have another good quarter. You've also had a 11% month-over-month increase in consumer confidence reported today. So that was quite compelling. And then, on a negative side, or slightly negative, is you saw continued job cooling. The JOLTS showed that new job openings were expected to be around 8 million at the end of September, and they were about 7.4 million. But before we throw our hands in the air and start waving around, we should realize that it's still coming off of a huge peak during the pandemic.
Over in Europe, markets closed lower with focus still on earnings reports. The Pan-European Stock 600 fell 0.6% as most sectors dropped into the red. Here in Asia, in the Asia-Pacific, markets are trading mixed following Wall Street's performance. The Nikkei 225 is up 1%, the Kospi down by 0.5%, and the S&P ASX 200 over in Australia is down by 0.3%. Over in the commodities market, oil prices rose amid continued tensions in the Middle East, trading at $71 a barrel. Gold prices also increased to $2,778 per ounce. In other news, infrastructure spending by the national government falls for the first time in 9 months. In August, spending dropped by 11% from last year to 109 billion pesos. Month on month, this is a 13% decrease from the 125 billion pesos in July. The Budget Department says that this drop is due to decreased spending by the Department of Public Works and Highways as heavy rains delayed projects. Also, delays in billing documents from contractors slowed payment processing for current projects. This reduction in spending could hurt economic growth as public works investments are essential for development. A slowdown in projects may affect job creation and future economic activity. Now, the Philippines reports the second highest growth in motor vehicle output in the ASEAN region. Data from the ASEAN Automotive Federation shows that motor vehicle production in the country reached over 86,000 units by end August, up from nearly 74,000 last year. Myanmar had the highest growth in the region. In August alone, the Philippines produced nearly 11,000 units. That's a 35% increase. The country also recorded the third fastest growth in motor vehicle sales in the first 8 months, with a 10% increase or 304,000 units sold. This growth in motor vehicle output and sales is significant for the Philippines as it indicates a stronger manufacturing sector and increased consumer confidence. Expanding production can also lead to more jobs and investments in the automotive industry, contributing to overall economic development. Now, the Zobel de Ayala family is accelerating the development of electric vehicle infrastructure in the Philippines. Our motoring correspondent, G. Baroga, has the details.
Ayala-led BYD Cars Philippines announces plans to expand electric vehicle or EV charging stations nationwide, targeting over 100 locations with more than 200 charging ports.
AC Mobility is actively working with both local government and with the private sector as well. This collaboration is essential to building a reliable and accessible charging network that meets the diverse needs of Filipinos nationwide. What we want is for electric vehicle users to travel long distances with confidence, knowing that stations are readily available for their needs.
BYD is also launching a new service to support the growth of the local EV sector.
We will be launching a first of a kind in the country, a mobile van charging system wherein if you need charge in your condominium, you don't need to go to a charging station. We will go to you.
BYD admits it is still in the early stages of building its footprint in the Philippine EV market, but it plans to stoke consumer interest by rolling out more electric models.
We are closely working, of course, with the Department of Energy and all other government agencies, in pursuing and making the market aware of the advantages of having an electric vehicle.
BYD also unveiled its all-new mid-size EV sedan, the Seal, at the 12th Electric Vehicle Summit. For BNC Mobility, G. Baroga.
The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas is working to boost its anti-money laundering measures. This initiative comes after the Financial Action Task Force recognized the Philippines' progress in these efforts. This comes as the global money laundering watchdog confirms that the Philippines has completed its action plan, allowing for a site visit to verify the effectiveness of these reforms. If this assessment is successful, the Philippines could be removed from the watchdog's gray list. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, headed by Governor Eli Remolona Jr., welcomes this as it's dedicated to enhancing the integrity of the financial system. Having been on the gray list since 2021 has increased costs and slowed remittances for overseas Filipino workers. Exiting this list will help lower remittance fees and simplify cross-border transactions, which are vital for the country's economic growth. Now, the founder and CEO of David Salon, David Charlton, passes away. His death was announced on the Facebook page of the popular beauty salon chain. Charlton, who was born in England in 1955, moved to the Philippines in 1978. In 1989, he established David Salon with the aim of providing high-quality hairdressing at affordable prices. Today, that salon chain boasts over 200 branches nationwide. Charlton's passing is a significant loss, as his vision and entrepreneurial spirit have influenced many in the beauty industry and beyond, setting a standard for quality and customer service. His work has also created jobs for thousands and contributed to the growth of the local beauty market, embodying the potential of entrepreneurship. Now we're taking a quick break. Please stay with us as we dive deep into the numbers and the narratives that matter most to your bottom line. Welcome back to Basis Points. Trading at the Philippine Stock Exchange opened just a few minutes ago. Let's take a look at the initial figures. Right now, 9:39 this morning, the PSE index is up by 0.3%. Rather, the PSE index is down, trading in the red, down by 0.3% to 72.15. The broader all shares index in the red as well, not by as much, down by just 0.1% to 39.72. As for the sub indices, we're seeing a mixed picture. The financials, industrial, holding firms, services sectors are in the red instead with the PSE index. Bucking that downtrend are the mining and oil and property counters, which are up by 0.6% and by 0.2% respectively. Now, at the foreign exchange market, the peso opens little changed at 58.20 from its previous close of 58.28 against the greenback. Now, our guest today is Ed Saavedra, the chairman and CEO of publicly listed firm Megawide. He's here to share his thoughts on the Philippine construction industry and how infrastructure development is impacting economic growth. Ed's insights as a leader in engineering and infrastructure will help us understand how the industry is evolving amidst a changing macroeconomic backdrop. Now, Ed, lots of changes on the macroeconomic side, and it's going to be great for everybody. Plus, there's the government's infrastructure push. And not to mention the lower interest rate environment. You've got three publicly listed firms. There's Megawide, there's C-REIT, and C-REC. But for the purpose of this interview and given time constraints, we're going to stick to the parent firm, your construction parent firm, Megawide. we'll talk numbers. I know you like talking about the bigger picture, so we'll skip Q3 and go straight to full year 2024. Your net income in the first half increased by 21% to 438 million on sustained momentum from your construction business. Now, looking at the 2024 figures, your revenue target was for 20 billion pesos. Are you on track to hit this?
Yes, very much on track.
Okay. By how much?
Most likely within that range.
Okay.
Yeah, within that range.
It's a big number already. For CapEx, in 2024, you allotted 3 billion pesos for that. Over the next 2 years, I know you plan on spending 16 billion pesos. That's a huge jump over the next 2 years. Where are you going to be spending this money on?
Yes, this is because when we acquired PH1 Developers, one of our development company, about 2 years ago. So 80% of that 16 billion goes to the spending for the capex of this residential condominium. It's a combination of vertical and horizontal development.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
And then also the carbon market, so which is the public market. We're also building now the main public market in Cebu.
Okay. Right now, you're not just a construction firm anymore. You're a parent firm seeding a lot of other companies. With that CapEx, how does that affect your revenue target for 2025? Coming from 20 billion in 2024, what's your revenue target coming into the new year?
Okay. Most of these capex that we'll be rolling out now, most of these projects will be completed by 2026. We expect that majority of the revenue contribution will be coming from the subsidiaries will be around 2026 or 2027 onwards.
Okay.
A lot of this will be more spending on 2025 and 2026. But as a parent company of Megawide, as a construction company, the revenue goes to Megawide as a construction. Mm-hmm. But in terms of revenue from the development, normally it will contribute the bigger contribution will be around 26, 27 onwards.
What's Megawide's portfolio mix, the sectors that you're in?
Okay, typically we try to maintain the mix in terms of sectors like infrastructure, and then 1/3 infrastructure, 1/3 private development projects. These are commercial and residential condominiums, which we normally do. And then 1/3 related to affiliates. These are like our own developments, like public markets, residential condominium, and also solar projects, power, energy sectors, which is our affiliates, Citicorp.
It's interesting that aside from the big ticket government projects, you also take on the private stuff.
Yes. Well, remember, Maiki, Megawide, we grew the company by getting purely private projects. So we grow we started as doing construction, serving to our private clients, big developers.
Yeah. Have you grown since, Ed? Moving forward, as the government pushes for more infrastructure projects, what types of infrastructure projects are you most interested in bidding for? Okay,
out of the 5 trillion, more than 5 trillion projects that the government is launching, Megawide is looking at a total of around 800 billion, which we intend to participate. These are typically like rail projects, bridges, and most of these projects are ODA projects, like JICA, ADB funded. So we intend to participate, and then the plan is also to partner with foreign contractors. That's part of the requirement for you to be able to participate in this type of projects. Mm-hmm. So these are the projects that we intend to participate. Okay.
Looking at the bigger picture, what's your take on the government's infrastructure push, and what's your outlook for the construction and engineering industry, given the lower interest rate environment, the cut in the reserve requirement ratio of banks? I mean, interest rates here and in the U.S. are coming down. How is that going to change the landscape that you guys play in?
Well, I think if you look at Philippines infrastructure, Maiki, we have plenty of projects. It's always, we have not enough projects to build. That's always been the problem, a good problem for Philippines. So for us as a construction company, so it's a good problem. So In terms of private sector, so we expect the lowering of the interest rates. We hope that the real estate market will somehow improve or boost by next year or onwards, just like 5-7 years ago before we got the pandemic. Yes. Because this will make the unit buyers more affordable. As we know, interest rates now is very high.
Yeah, I mean, you can even give us your outlook for the real estate sector, which you're quite bullish on, because just after the pandemic, following your divestment from the airport, the Mactan Cebu Airport, you acquired PH1 World Developers. Talk to us about your outlook for the property industry given the reduction in interest rates.
Okay, as you know, when we unload our asset 2 years ago, so we acquired PH1 Developers doing mostly affordable housing. That's why out of the 16 billion, more than 80% of that capex are from this subsidiary of Megawide. So we're looking, that the BBM is focusing their 4PH. They want to address the housing backlog. So we want to target a portion of this and also somewhere this segment, the segment of the affordable housing. So we're bullish on that. As you know, there is a real backlog in Philippines as far as the affordable housing segment is concerned.
So how are you expanding your land bank to fill that backlog?
Okay, so right now the group is expanding doing more JVs. We prefer to do more JVs, but some of them we also acquire. So it's combination with JVs and also an acquisition. So for us, the strategy is every time we acquire properties, we normally build it right away.
As you've listed more companies since Megawide, C-REIT in 2022, Citicorp in 2024. Looking ahead, what's the future for PH1 World Developers? Are you looking to go public on the real estate side as well?
Okay, not yet in the next near future yet. We want to build more inventory. So as you can see, 16 billion, hopefully by next year. Every year we will keep on rolling out more projects. So once we have more inventory, that's the only time we will see if it will be worthwhile to do the IPO.
Of course, it's only been a year. And I'll sneak in one more question, shifting gears before we go, because our time is almost up. One of your biggest projects, the Metro Manila subway system, that was the target completion date there was 2028 to 2029. When do you think this is going to be finished? Are you on track? Are you guys on track? I mean, you only have one part of this. It's a massive project. And as with big ticket projects like this, it's got to be chopped up. So I know you have one part of that. Are we on track to complete it by 2028 and 2029?
Well, as you know, most of these infrastructure projects, the typical problem is really right of way. Though the subway is most of the alignment will be underground, but we still have those depot and stations where you still have some right-of-way issue.
And those are the biggest challenges.
Those are the biggest challenges.
That's what's delaying the subway project.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it's beyond our control. However, for us, we are still on track as far as what the scope of work is, can be done.
Well, we're all looking forward to that Metro Manila subway station. Ed, that's all the time we have. But thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure to have you. We'll do this again with your other companies.
Thank you, Maiki.
Okay.
Thank you for having me here in your new basis point, your new baby.
Okay. Thank you, Ed. All right. That was Edgar Saavedra, the chairman and CEO of Megawide. Now, before we go, Toyota is showcasing a concept car designed to address carbon dioxide emissions from vehicles. Our motoring correspondent, G. Baroga, gives us a closer look.
Toyota Motor Philippines introduces the Corolla Cross H2 concept, a hydrogen prototype designed to cut carbon emissions and ditch fossil fuels. In an exclusive media session, Toyota showcased the concept's quick refueling process, which takes only about 5 minutes to fill an empty tank.
Our multiple pathway approach to carbon neutrality basically says that we need multiple technologies, not one particular powertrain over the other. So with this multiple pathway approach, we have prepared a holistic and practical program depending on the needs and the readiness of our market and our customers.
Reporters, including BNC Mobility, had the opportunity to test the concept car. It performs similarly to a traditional vehicle, underscoring Toyota's effort to make sustainable vehicles user-friendly. While there is no set timeline for bringing the hydrogen-powered car to the Philippines, Toyota remains optimistic about its potential.
What we want to achieve is deeper understanding among the public and our customers, that they can actually make contributions to the environment to have a positive impact by choosing any of those touch points or pathways that we have been advocating for.
Toyota has been collaborating with the Philippine government to align its sustainability programs with the country's energy roadmap.
We hope that the Philippine government will also consider different types of sources of energy, and hydrogen should be one of them. We need to work closely with the government and other stakeholders for us to be able to introduce different type of energy for each vehicle.
For BNC Mobility, G. Baroga.
And that's it for Basis Points. I'm Maiki Oreta. We'll be back tomorrow for more news on the financial markets and more. Keep it here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo news channel, always on top.